Okay, so today we're going to talk about something pretty interesting. As if it wasn't bad enough that we've had a late freeze, heavy winter, lots of snow, bee die-offs, cold weather, and everything else coming against the bees, my apiary was visited by a North American black bear. And this hive number 6 here, you'll see has flashing lights on it. He did not touch this hive. But apparently the rest of my apiary was fair game for the bear. When it comes to black bears, there's not much that you're going to do to stop them, but we'll talk about some measures that can be taken. If you look at the landing board here on hive number 8, I have straps holding it down, and a bear walked right up to that and just snapped off that landing board. So we know he's big and powerful. But thanks to those shipping straps and the anchors going into the ground there, he was unsuccessful in pulling over that hive. However, this hive did not fare so well. The good news is, this is an empty hive. There were no bees in it. I just had frames of honey stored in it and some pollen resources that I was going to reuse. Chickens are out there, of course, inspecting everything first thing. And my dog's out there. If this dog ever meets a bear in the woods, he's just going to die. He doesn't have the common sense to run away. He's a Boston Terrier, and he just thinks he's as tough as anything in the wild. This is a squirrel-proof feeder that's hanging on a tree branch, right about shoulder height, and notice how bent up it is. That's because the bear was feeding out of it. Now, we didn't actually see the bear. We just noticed all of the evidence that he had been there. We also know that he's fairly tall, or he can stand up in order to feed out of that feeder. He didn't get it off the tree branch. He did destroy it. Obviously, it's not going to be good as a feeder anymore with all the bent up metal. He was unsuccessful in getting it open. It was securely attached to this horizontal tree branch, and he did not pull it down, although he did bend up this support that it hangs from. So we know that that works. And an Americana Chicken just walking by there. So it shows you how high it is. And I will share with you in advance that we're going to see this bear again at the end of this video. And he tore off my feeder here that I made probably 14, 15 years ago. These are also my squirrel-proof suet feeders. And he tore down the pole they were on and actually took the suet feeder out into the woods and tried to get into it. And that was unsuccessful. So that's evidence those are really well made. And these are my woods. This is also my property. And bears tend to follow trails. This year, because the weather has been so miserable, a lot of resources for the bears are absent in the environment. So that has put pressure on them to come out and visit feeders, get closer to homes, and of course, in my case, visit my apiary. And you can see that he pulled the corners right off of these plastic bee frames, and that's because he flipped the box upside down and pulled them through backwards. Incredibly powerful. He licked a lot of honey off, he ate away some of the pollen even, and just wreaked havoc on it. Of course, the chickens are taking advantage of their opportunity now to come and feed on these frames. I put everything back. As I said, good news is he attacked a box that was empty. The bees are just gleaning resources from it here while it's open, but of course I closed everything back up. But we have to do something in preparation for his return. If you know anything about bears, they come back to areas where they found resources in the past, and they do it right away. So I expect him to come back tonight. And this is a close-up of that landing board that he tore off. Good news, the hive is still intact. He did not knock it over. And I'm showing you this feeder again, and that's because I've decided that if he comes back to this feeder, I want to get video sequences of him. And so I've taken a game camera and I have mounted it to the tree adjacent to this feeder. So the game camera will be about 4.5 feet, pretty close for a game camera, but about 4.5 feet from the feeder. And if he comes back, I'm going to get great video footage of him. So another thing I have to do to protect the bee yard, I'm going to have to put up an electric fence. That's we want layered protection, and if he comes back, I happen to have this poultry netting. It's all electrified, so each horizontal strand here has electricity going through it. I have a solar-powered electric fence energizer that I'm hooking up to it right now, If he comes back tonight, I want him to be educated in a negative way, and I want him to know that this bee yard is not something that he can visit. I also have another game camera there on the post. In fact, I put out 4 game cameras on the apiary just because if he comes back, I want to see his reaction to the fence. And of course, the chickens were totally safe in their coops. They're in 3 different buildings, all locked up secure at night, so even a bear would have a pretty good challenge getting in there. They have steel doors and so on. And again, just a last look here at my wild bird feeder. We're not going to put any feed out. We're going to keep that restricted. We're going to store everything at night and feed only during the day while the bear is around. Here's a close-up of my Solar Pack 12. This thing has a 30-mile range, and that means 30 miles of wire. So there are 9 strands horizontally in poultry netting that's electrified. So a 30-mile range charger is pretty good. And of course, this is what the flashing red lights look like. And remember, the hive that he did tear down was without the benefit of these flashing lights. So that's another layer, but I don't trust that as being enough. So we're going with that electric fence. And if the bear returns tonight, of course, I'm going to go out there and make sure that he does not feel welcome. And I want you to see what this bear looks like. And sure enough, there he is. This is well away from the house, probably 100 feet maybe. And he's being videoed here by the game camera that I attached to the tree. And I want you to notice something. He is actually sitting on the ground and feeding from this Squirrelproof feeder. There are only, maybe a couple teaspoons of black oil sunflower seeds left in there. And it's impressive to see how dexterous he is with his tongue, and he can get those seeds out. And of course, they're opportunistic feeders. Bears are omnivores. They'll eat animals, they'll eat plants, they eat seeds and nuts. And again, because we've had this terrible winter, the bears are under pressure, as are other wildlife animals here, because their resources that they would normally have this time of year have not produced. So they've learned to visit houses and get into feeders and compost piles where people may throw their food out. And they're getting close to houses, and that's not a good thing. So I need to go outside and motivate this bear to move on and make sure he does not feel welcome on my property. And you can see that he's got his ears back. He might be hearing me coming in the distance there, and he pauses to listen. And he's about to be motivated to go somewhere else. And there you have it. I gave him negative input there. Do not go out and confront a bear. If I do it, it's on me. I hope you keep your own bees and chickens safe. Thanks for watching.